do you make a change for the sake of just making a change? I don't buy that. I think Justin does. Where you sit.
I just don't see the confidence. I mean, when you're trotting out goalies hoping, and you're a team that should be contending, you can't win right now in the playoffs with what they have. I don't believe that. Unless Campbell comes back and suddenly grabs the level of play that he had in the first 2 months of the year, it's not going to happen. And, man, I'd hate to be Kyle Dubas looking back at this season going, oh, we cheaped out on goaltending and it bit us.
You know, it's crazy, though, is like they tried not to, right? They tried to pay Petr Mrazek to be this solution.
That wasn't cheap either.
That wasn't cheap. So, Mike, when you watch
him... overpay.
No kidding. It wasn't overpay. So when you watch him, though, is there any chance? I heard Dubas say the other day, this guy's played 300 games in the league, and he's a 910 over that time. By the way, it's 290, and he's a 909. It was nice hedging. But what are your thoughts on, this guy's ability to find it? Because if he can't, what's the point in having him here? But, to Kipper's point, it's not cheap to get rid of. But do you think he can find it?
No, I don't think that. I've never really believed in Mrazek.
Okay.
And I hate to bag on a guy who's so much better than I am. But where has he ever been a starter? He was a starter in Detroit for 2 seasons. And then it all went south.
On a team with
out of there.
No expectations, by the way.
He goes to Carolina, plays in a tandem in Carolina, and it's dogged him everywhere. Can you win with Petr Mrazek? And the reason being is the guy's so aggressive in his positioning. He's way out of the crease. He plays with his right foot 6 inches in front of his left. You don't play consistently when you do that. And what worries me is that I don't think he's listening to goalie coaching, because there's no way you can play in the NHL for a decade and not realize that you're doing the same things over and over again that are causing goals against.
I had heard that, Mike, he never had a goalie coach until he was 17.
Yep, I had heard the same thing, and that's when he came over to North America. Coming from the Czech Republic, didn't have that, comes over. And even though through the Detroit system, Detroit didn't really put a big emphasis on goaltending coaching until the last 7-8 seasons. So him coming up through didn't have a lot, and he had success right away. Okay, he wins the Calder Cup with the Grand Rapids Griffins right away. That emboldens you as a goaltender. Whatever I've done is always going to work. It hasn't for Mrazek. He hasn't adapted. His post integrations are sloppy. He's too far out of the net. He can't keep up with the play.
Yeah, it's not been a lot of fun to watch, I can tell you that.
What would you try if you're Kyle Dubas right now to send a message that, okay, I'm not going to sit on my hands here, but I'm not going to blow my brains out either. So what would you do?
Well, the hardest thing is if you're going to go for the big swing, which is Fleury, that's a lot of salary. It's a lot of cap. And you don't know whether Marc-Andre is going to want to come to Toronto anyway. And to me, you had to find somebody who's steady. And the best one down the road is Anton Forsberg. Mm-hmm. The guy's been awesome this year, and nobody's talking about him. Pierre Dorion says that his phone's not making any noise. Edmonton should have traded for Forsberg 2.5 months ago. You just need somebody to be steady. The team in Ottawa has not been good defensively, and he's been carrying the mail. And he's outplayed Matt Murray, who's making over 6 times as much as he is. I don't know. To me, something like that's a good answer.
It's funny. He seems to be one of those middle guys, because when he's on waivers, everyone claims him. Everyone is aware he's good enough, but no one's willing to pay to get him somehow. So now you've got Kallgren, who's going to get a second run here. He's going to play against Carolina on Thursday night. And, if you follow the most extremist versions of Leafs Twitter, you hear people being like, all right, Kallgren can be the guy. He can be the guy. I'm looking to this guy as hockey DB, Mike, and you might be able to relate. It's, I don't know how you say Vax Joe, but it's, Sweden, and he's in Tucson and Rapid City and Turku and the Marlies. He's with all these different teams. Is there a chance he's been a great goalie? He just needs the opportunity to settle in and be that guy. Also tell me how to pronounce that city.
I've seen that one on the Hockey DB plenty of times, and I've always just assumed like the X is silent.
Vio?
And then the Vio, right? Yeah, soft J, like yogging. But I think realistically, you look and he's been successful. Like, he hasn't spent much time in North America, though. So that's kind of your tough decision to make, is like, can he really bring it? I look at the eye test from last game and what I've seen from him, the games I've seen him play for the Marlies. To me, Kallgren is a very Swedish goalie. He has good mechanics. He has good routes. He's very rarely on his belly or on his back. He uses his post, his bumpers, all those things. He doesn't have very good hands. He gives up rebounds. But I like how he brings the whole package. So I think the consistency of Kallgren is probably pretty high, but I have no idea what his top end is. And that's where you're just not sure, because if you're going to win a Stanley Cup in the NHL, you need a goalie who's got top end well beyond good. You need great goaltending to win. So can Kallgren do that? It would be a big surprise. It'd be a big stretch. But who knows? Maybe he goes on a big Hamburglar run for next thing you know, you'll see Jason Spezza eating cheeseburgers on the ice.
Right. Fingers crossed.
We're talking to Mike McKenna, former goaltender and current analyst on Daily Faceoff. So, like any situation, PR departments can't wait to get the dressing room celebration out on video. Kallgren comes in after being named the star, gets the teammate water bottle, shower, celebration everywhere. And you're Jack Campbell watching this, Mike. What are you thinking?
Well, you're excited for the kid.
Oh, crap.
Yeah,
no, not a chance. You know where I'm going.
You're always such a downer on this. No, dude, like you're legitimately happy for him as a person.
Sure.
But in the back of your head, you're looking at that going, I have played awful for 2 months.
Yeah.
I'm hurt. And this guy's going to steal my job. And I've also got a big contract that's supposed to be due to me that I'm watching the dollar symbols just go lower and lower and lower every day. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Do you think there's anything to the idea? We talked with Jim Ralph, who theorized that Campbell has been awesome when he hasn't been pushed. So when he came here, Freddie Anderson was hurt. He was great. When Mrazek was hurt, he was great. And every time he's had competition in the crease, he has not been great. Could there be something to the idea that this is a guy who does not excel in a competitive crease environment?
That's hard to say. That's really hard to quantify, because you can also look at goaltenders like, Darcy Kemper's always played well when he has a good foil. Like Pavel Francouz's behind him now, Antti Raanta previously. But for Campbell, I mean, he's had to battle his way through things previously where even when he's been given the crease, it hasn't necessarily gone well. So I have a hard time taking that and believing it. But I don't know, man. The competition always drove me. Like, the fear of not having the net is what made me play well. So I don't know how you tap into that if you're Campbell. I think the biggest thing for him is just being healthy. Because if this was a rib injury that just came around, I have a hard time believing it hadn't been bothering him for a while.
Which, in a perfect world, if that's the case, it could explain a lot, in that last 4 weeks, which could help him.
I agree.
But
yeah, and that's where the health really matters.
And no one's tipping their hand from the Leafs or Jack on what the injury is specifically and when did it happen.